Here's Johnny.
I'll be back.
And you will know my name is the Lord. I'm walking here. I'm walking here.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Groovy.
Greetings, Reclaimers, and welcome to Box Office Pulp, the podcast that's finishing this fight with movies, madness, and moxie. I'm Mike Napier.
I am Alex. Or, God damn it.
Either one, really.
Yeah. I'm something. I'm a cadet.
Alex, you're a cadet. Alex / MB. I will be calling him MB for the duration of this mini bopper.
Can I call myself Lasky?
No, you're more of a Sully.
Oddly, I can accept that.
It's a good character. Speaking of, we're here to talk about Halo 4 Forward into Dawn, movie/internet series.
Let me remind you, cadets, this academy represents honor, valor, allegiance. I
want people to change?
Am.
And you're going to need people to follow you.
Worthy.
There's a soldier inside of you, Thomas. I can see it. Everyone can see it. You need to see it. If someone is trying to kill you, are you not to rise against him and kill him first?
Stay close to me. Have the best chance for survival.
Mayday. Forward onto Dawn. Immediate evac. 117.
Play it again, please.
/ event.
The first real... there's been live-action Halo commercials and things, but this is the actual first live-action movie and it's an actual canon story. It's not like it's an adaptation of anything.
Yeah. It actually manages to be perhaps one of the greatest, if not the greatest, video game movies of all time.
Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is. I saw it when it was still a web series, and then again when it was a movie. You only just saw it, though, about 2 weeks ago.
Well, I saw the full thing for the first time 2 weeks ago. I had seen the first installments of the web series, which, by comparison to what the actual thing in its entirety is, was actually very little. Way more than I actually thought when I first saw it. I towards the end of this movie, it gets considerably better. Even though it's not bad to begin with, it's just... it jumps up a notch. Several notches, I would say. For my money, this is probably the best video game-related anything outside of an actual video game. Just because it takes a story that is very much almost simplistic, I would say.
As far as the games go, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because, the mythology of the games itself really lends itself to this kind of material. It's just that nobody's really minded until now.
Yeah, the Halo mythology is very rich and deep. The games themselves only really they're just portions of something larger.
Yeah, there's entire, if you go on the internet and look this stuff up, it's almost like the Star Wars universe in that it has its own backstory upon backstory, and just even the most minor characters almost, it feels like sometimes.
Yeah, books, the Halo Legends animated movie, comics, the games. There's a lot of stuff. You throw it together, it all kind of makes sense.
And a lot of it isn't canon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and actually a lot of the books, they'll go back and revise parts of it, because the games are more like the games are God essentially.
Yeah.
So if they go against something, they'll go back. Like Fall of Reach has been revised twice, I think. Just small like things throughout it are kind of revised to fit into the canon as it's been presented, like Halo Reach and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good about that. I mean, it's kind of weird they'll go back and revise a book, but it actually makes sense.
Now, just to kind of give a quick summary of Halo itself, just because it's very much, as if you have an Xbox, it's like you pretty much, you're probably ingrained into the Halo universe already, but for those who don't know, it's basically a simple setup of, it's in a very distant future where essentially the military has been upgraded to a point of near ridiculousness. Like, they've got super weapons, pretty much. I mean, they've got weapons of mass destruction in everyday combat because they're fighting against a alien force called the Covenant, which is threatened to basically wipe out all of existence.
Yeah,
mostly humanity, but and what the series revolves around are these characters called the Spartans, which are essentially, like, if you take the concept of like a Captain America-esque super soldier and take it to the nth degree, they are soldiers engineered practically from, I wouldn't say birth, but from youth.
Yeah, well, it depends on which Spartans. Like, Master Chief's a Spartan too, and those are kidnapped children.
Yeah.
Like, I think usually around the age of like 8 or something, I believe. They're kidnapped. And they're actually replaced with, then the children are replaced with clones of themselves, but the clones are meant to only last a couple years. So essentially all these parents think their kids are actually just dying from diseases or wasting away.
It's actually like it's kind of a disturbing setup when you think about it, because they're essentially just breeding children into being these incredibly powerful soldiers that are thrown as the last line of defense into combat against the Covenant.
Yeah. Though they were originally designed to fight insurrectionists, other humans.
Yeah.
Which is actually where Forward Unto Dawn actually takes place.
Yeah. And bringing it back to Forward Unto Dawn, this is kind of really the story of Forward Unto Dawn is that it follows a young cadet in the UNSC Academy who is undergoing training to become, like, I don't know, is it an ODSC or is it just a standard soldier?
It's the Corbulo Academy of Military Science. They're all like, mainly they're all children of soldiers or high-ranking officers. Like, essentially, they're getting field experience and all that, but essentially they're being trained to be officers. Yeah. Like, it's the reason the actual Covenant attacks the Corbulo Academy, because it's strange, like, why would the Covenant attack a random military school? The idea behind it, they talk about this on the commentary, is the Covenant's essentially by killing everybody who's training there, Covenant's essentially like, crippling the future of the UNSC going forward. Like, these are all people who are poised to take over positions, but now they're all dead.
Yeah.
Essentially is the idea. So,
and
like,
what's funny about the movie is that they essentially kind of win in the end. Like,
yeah.
Most of the people at the Academy end up dead by the end of the movie.
Yeah, everyone on the planet's wiped out except, 3? Is it?
Yeah, 3 or 4, something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's actually a really well-told, I mean, it's a really well-told story, but at the same time, it's a really profound look at really the universe itself. Like, if you were a beginner, I can only imagine what this would be like as an introduction to Halo itself.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about the movie, though, is I don't think you have to be a Halo fan to be able to watch it.
No, because it's like, it honestly lends itself to any sort of science fiction.
Yeah, it's a really good standalone movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to know anything about Halo to understand what's going on.
And plus, like, what was their budget going in?
Oh, geez, I should probably looked it up, but it was low.
Yeah, incredibly low, but if you watch it, it looks way more professional than any web series has any right to look.
I mean, the CGI in it, quite frankly, is as good as any movie. Like, there's only one semi-wonky part, which is the part where the hunter's walking up.
Yeah.
But that's for like a split second. The hunter himself actually looks great.
And that's the thing, is like this, they don't shy away from it. They actually have the creatures from the Covenant in there. Like, they have a jackal appear at several points. They have a hunter. They have, you don't see grunts, but I think you said, like, you can hear them in the background or something like that.
Yeah, I think you can hear them.
And and this was the part that shocked me when the first time that I saw it, is that they have an actual elite, which are these giant. Okay, the elites are pretty hard to describe. They're just kind of like, they're their own creature, but they're kind of a warrior class.
Yeah, they're essentially the Sangeli, as the elites are called, because the Covenant's made up of different alien races, headed up by the prophets, who essentially brainwash all these different aliens. Like, the hunters are actually a hive mind of worms in a suit, but the Sangeli are almost like, you could say, samurai. There's actually a really cool Halo Legend. One of the parts of Halo Legends, they kind of almost put the Sangeli in feudal Japan and have them work out a samurai story, because that's kind of what they're about, honor and they're warriors and things like that.
Yeah. But just the fact that they had a live action elite in there, and with like the weapons like the energy sword and plasma grenades, and even for like the actual Academy soldiers, they have a live action warthog.
Yeah, they I think the warthog is from the I think it's a Weta warthog. They reused a lot of most of the props are actually reused from different things, like Deliver Hope, We Are ODST, and the Landfall Blomkamp shorts.
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp directed a couple of shorts for Halo back when, I think he was he slated to direct a live-action Halo movie?
This was after it fell apart, and they had the Weta had made all the props already. Like, still props we still haven't seen. Like, I still don't think they've actually shown the Weta gravity hammer, but I've heard about it. But, so they had it all, so Blomkamp directed a short film called Landfall. It's pretty amazing. So they reused a lot of props and, made some new ones, but...
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that saved on budget a lot.
And all of it is very true to the design of the game, too. Like, nothing is redesigned to any drastic degree. You can recognize it if you're a fan of the games.
Yeah, the sound effects are the same. The special effects of weapons actually firing the same, which is always carried through all the Halo live-action things, but it's cool they didn't change it for the actual movie.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, and this is the part that Mike can attest, when I saw it for the first time, I actually gasped.
And you knew he was coming. Like, that part's even in the trailer.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's the selling point of the entire film. It's like, if you go and watching this, you know he's going to show up, but a live-action Master Chief.
Yeah.
Talking, he's just as tall as he is in the games. Like, there's a couple of scenes where he's shown next to the cadets, and he towers over them.
Yeah, Daniel Cudmore plays Colossus in the X-Men movies, is the guy in the suit. He's voiced by Alex Puccinelli, I think his name is.
Yep.
Though they did try to get down. I mean, they actually record. I think Rick Downs actually either recorded or they tried playing around with his dialogue. Probably he'd already recorded Halo 4 at that point, and they tried to pitch him to make him sound younger.
Which I can definitely see why they had trouble with that, because if you listen to his voice in Halo 4, he sounds...
Yeah, it's been a long time since Halo 1, and he sounds a lot different than he has in Halo 1.
Yeah.
So, and Master Chief in Forward Unto Dawn's only 15.
Yeah, that's an interesting fact. It's that This is technically a prequel to the entire series, isn't it?
Yeah, this is probably, I think, the farthest they've ever really gone back. I mean, Harvest, the book Harvest, that was about, which I think the writers of Forward Unto Dawn originally pitched a movie that would have taken place on Harvest. Harvest is the first planet the Covenant attacked, but I think they just couldn't do it because of budget. So this was still, the Covenant still attacked Corbulo. I think I wrote down the name of the planet. It's Circinius 4 is the name of a planet, which is, the movie takes place in the year 2529. The Halo movies start, I think, in 25. I want to say 50 something, 40 something.
You mean the Halo games?
Yeah, the games. So the Covenant at this point in the Halo universe during Forward Unto Dawn are still being kept under wraps. Like at this point, they have probably attacked Harvest, I think. I get kind of like confused because I haven't read Harvest.
To be fair, it's like when it comes to Halo history, it's really easy to lose track just because it's so dense.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to take on.
Like I've played all of the games except for Halo Wars and Halo 2, and I forget stuff from those. Like it's just so much packed into. Like the games really are amazing in that way, in that they manage to stick so much mythology within the actual story they're telling, even.
Yeah. A lot of shit happens in Halo 2. And then again in Halo 3. The first Halo is pretty straightforward video game story, but...
When was the first time you ever played any of the Halo games? Like, what was your introduction to it?
I had rented Halo shortly after I got an Xbox. I always wanted to play it from a Blockbuster. And sat down and played it, and it was the most amazing game experience I'd ever had at that point.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours that actually had been given an extra copy of Halo 3, and by that point, I was just getting into first-person shooters. Really, I had dabbled in Left 4 Dead a little bit upon your suggestion, and then he got Halo 3, and he said, "Well, do you want this copy?" Because we were playing online on multiplayer a lot. And I said, well, sure, I'll try it out. And I wasn't grabbed at first, but the more I played it, the more addictive it became, to the point where it was like, immediately when the next game came out, I was directly on that, and that doesn't usually happen to me when it comes to games. So I knew this was a pretty profound series that I was getting into.
Yeah, I had to give you a refresher course before you played Halo 3. I had to sit down and be like, okay, this is the entire story of Halo so far.
And even that, it's like, it's really hard to keep track of. But once you play the game, it's like, it becomes very easy very quickly.
Yeah.
And I found that that's actually the same case with watching Forward Unto Dawn, in that it doesn't really overpower you with mythology and all of these references to the canon.
No, like I said, you don't have to know anything about Halo to watch Forward Unto Dawn, which I think it works so well. Like, if you don't know who the Covenant is, there's just an alien, like, there's a mystery throughout the movie about some things. Like, you see, like, there's a character, General Black, who shows up. And it's weird, he's like, you see some shots of him standing by a warthog smoking, and then kind of like seem like he's ordering soldiers around. But it's like, why is General Black even there?
Yeah.
And then you see some ODST, he's like, that's weird. And then you see some lights in the sky at night at one point. And there's this transmission Sully is trying to uncover. Yeah, that's actually from the visor cam of an actual Spartan.
And that's the first time they see in the reflection of something, they see an elite.
Yeah, it's brought in a very smart way, because the characters themselves don't know what's going on, so you don't have to know what's going on.
Yeah, they're all newbies to the actual universe itself.
Even Master Chief, the interesting thing about this movie is this is the first time Master Chief has ever fought a hunter.
And if you know Master Chief, it's he's pretty much fought everything in the universe.
Yeah, so this is like a kind of a big piece of canon. This is the first time he's fought a major enemy in the Halo games.
Yeah.
But Forward Unto Dawn is also the first actual piece of Halo fiction, besides it was in the beginning of Halo Reach some, that has ever delved into the Insurrectionist War that took place prior to the Covenant showing up. Like, at this point, they didn't know, they had no contact with aliens. So, they were just fighting insurrectionists. And it's cool that they went into the war, but, like, everyone's behind them fighting the Covenant. Like, it's a very hoorah kind of kick alien ass kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's cool in Forward Unto Dawn we see a side where it's like kind of like it's like a war movie. You know, Lasky's main character doesn't believe in the insurrectionist war.
And it's a fascinating character arc that he goes through because like that's something that sets this apart from the usual video game movie is that there's actual character stuff going on in this. Like usually that's kind of unheard of, and especially for like a web series like this, like you don't expect it to be character heavy.
Yeah, I mean, at Forward Unto Dawn really is like a coming of age story, character drama.
Yeah, and that's mainly what it is. Like everything else is background.
Yeah, even Master Chief, who you would think
shows up like at the last 5 minutes or the last like 10 minutes even.
Yeah, I think it's like. Yeah, I think there's like 15 minutes left, and he shows up. And Master Chief shows up, you think like, holy shit, first time walking, talking, doing stuff, live action Master Chief. He's not the focus of the movie even after he shows up.
Yeah, he leaves for a time.
Yeah. He's actually a story tool for Lasky's character arc to, you know, inspire him and push him forward. He's not just thrown in there because they could have a live-action Master Chief. He's not thrown in there just for action, even though that's when the movie really gets going with action.
And this movie is tied into the release of Halo 4, and Lasky's character arc is actually kind of hinges on Halo 4, which is a nice little tie-in that you don't even really need. Yeah, like even if you're not going to play Halo 4, you can still watch this.
Yeah, and you could play Halo 4 without ever watching it. But it was, like when I was playing Halo 4, it was awesome when Lasky showed up.
But ultimately, it had no bearing.
No, there's a few references to things.
Yeah.
He mentions having seen Chief before, he mentions having lost people close to him before. But that's really it. But it's cool that you know Lasky's backstory, you know why Lasky's there.
Yeah.
Because he could have quit, and but he overcame
yeah, and he was he starts out in a very different place from where he ends up, which is if you do it right, then you do it right. If you do it wrong, it's very easy to screw it up.
Yeah,
and so it's just a really well done story. First of all, and then combine that with really good special effects, even for the budget. The props and the acting, which is actually pretty...
Yeah, the acting is really great, actually.
For a web series, again.
Yeah, I mean, the guy who played Cadman Lasky, Lasky's brother, I forget the actor's name, but he was amazing in those videos.
Yeah.
And apparently they shot those on, one day. But, I mean, that's, the cool linchpin throughout that. Lasky keeps watching these videos of his brother. You figure pretty quickly that his brother's dead. But then it finally ends on him watching a video of his mother, who's I think a colonel, informing him that his brother's been killed, and she has no emotion on her face at all. And it's his thing's the inhumanity of it all, really.
Yeah, which is a pretty common thing within the Halo universe within itself. That's really actually the backbone of Halo 4.
It really, it's kind of cool how that kind of idea plays into Halo 4.
And it's like a reflection of it.
Yeah. And, but really all the acting's pretty great. Tom Green, I should still change his name, as Lasky. Yeah. Anna Popplewell is, Chyler Silva.
She's worth it alone.
Yeah, because A, she's hot, B, she's really good, and C, her character's pretty cool.
Her character's pretty cool, and it also ends up in a way you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
But, Like, and all the side characters are cool too.
Yeah, actually,
no one's really wasted.
Yeah, in the web series, the ancillary characters felt more like they were just kind of there.
Yeah.
The only ones who really mattered were Lasky, Silva, and kind of Sully, because Sully was the funny friend. But with the movie, they at the very beginning they add this long kind of prologue of the cadets being interviewed, which I think were done for promotional stuff for the web series that were put out, but they weren't actually in the series.
Yeah.
At least not in its full form. But through that, you get to know the characters very well. So, like, when you watch the movie, you understood, like, every single character and what their motivation was.
That's another thing about the movie is that when it's put together as one entire thing, it's seamless. Like you wouldn't think it would be, considering the way that it's edited when it actually is a web series, but when it plays as a movie, you cannot tell where the edits begin and end.
Yeah. The only real shaky part is the beginning with Cortana.
Yeah, and even that, it's like, it's so well done that you kind of forget about it. And by the way, yes, there is a live-action Cortana, and yes, she's voiced by Jen Taylor.
Yeah. Pretty cool. You see, like, there's a pretty awesome moment where Cortana tries to kill Master Chief. Like, you get into her rampancy a bit.
Which ties into Halo 4, which is like, yeah, that part may be a little confusing to people who don't really know the games, but it's such a little moment.
Yeah.
That it doesn't really matter.
Like, essentially, it's just it's the bookends that were the only thing that could be confusing to new people.
Yeah, and those last like a minute tops.
Yeah. But I think it still comes, across clear enough. At least at the end, Lasky, like when he's holding the Silva's dog tags and the burnt up hunter's shield that Chief gave him. And we actually get to, we didn't mention, we actually get to see other Spartans in this too. Kelly and Fred, who are in the books.
And you get to see them without their helmets. Of course, you don't see Chief without his, because he's Chief.
Yeah, they just look over to Chief, and Chief is still there, just holding up his assault rifle, riding in the back of a Pelican.
It's the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome they get into a Pelican. I mean, it's all just there. It just feels like you're just in the Halo universe at that point.
Yeah, they don't change anything around. Like, they don't make it, this is the movie version of this and this. It's like, no, it's the Halo games themselves are very cinematic, so what do they really have to change?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, at this point, the games are made with such an eye toward cinema that there's just nothing really to do.
Yeah, it would, like, if they ever made a live-action, big-budget movie, all they would have to do is really adapt what's from the games into a movie, and it would work incredibly well, which, of course, is never going to happen because Hollywood. But this is the closest we're probably ever going to get to a straight-up adaptation of the Halo universe, as close to the games as possible, to the point of being canon.
Yeah, I mean, this story is canon, just as much as Halo 4 is canon to the Halo story. Forward in the Dawn is a moment in history in that universe that happened. And but going back to the budget, I thought it was really cool how they got around things, but used canon, because, an Elite's expensive. There's not that many shots of the Elite, full, close-up shots, because the Elite can be cloaked. So they have the Elite cloaked and turn essentially from an action movie into a horror movie.
Yeah. And it's actually a lot of different things. Like, it's not just a drama, it's not just a war movie, it's not just an action movie, it's not just, like you said, a horror movie. It's so many things into one cohesive piece, which really only, the best kinds of movies are made that way.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more impressive that this was just intended to be a web series.
The only thing I would say is, when some of the other ancillary characters die, you don't really feel very much for them.
Yeah.
It's weird that General Black dies essentially off screen, but it works. Mahaffey, you see die, and she dies in an awesome way. She gets hit by a needle gun and explodes. She explodes. That's in a live action movie, someone explodes from a needle rifle.
I mean, just the fact that there was a needler itself in a game, in the movie. I think Hero mentioned when we were watching it with him that it was, for us, it was probably like the Avengers, where it was like everything we noticed from the games was like that extra memorable.
Yeah.
Like, if you're really a fan of the games, this is an amazing treat. But again, if you're not, it works.
And there's so many cool, like, references to, like, Halo fandom and things. Like, you know, they play Capture the Flag. Chief says no spray and pray. You know, the use of the word newbie and things like that. The HUD shows up at one point a few times.
Yeah, they literally have a video where it's like a first-person... It's basically a recreation of the game.
And their training HUDs have the map, the mini map, and all that in there.
Like, it's just a very well done series in itself that happened to be a really great movie when it was all put together. And also, a little known fact: it was shot in a little over 25 days. So this was shot in Vancouver in less than a month.
It doesn't feel like it.
No.
And most of the sets, like, you know, the hallway where their bunks are and everything, you see that hallway multiple times. They just keep redressing it and using it as different hallways.
Yeah.
Or using it as Mahaffey's office. And they just keep redressing it so they have the one spot and they just keep moving the walls around. And putting stuff up and just...
It's interesting that it takes place all in one location because they're all on one planet. Not too far from the academy, even when they're training. And it's still like, you never feel like a repetition with it.
No, and the most extensive use of CGI besides the close-up of the elite would probably just be the outside Corbulo Academy. Like the space tether they added and all this other stuff. Because they're essentially just shooting in a factory, I think. And it's seamless. Like, it just looks like it's all there. CGI is amazing.
And then there are, like, drop pods.
Hey, you see drop pods come out and the door bust open and fucking ODSTs come walking out.
Don't at one point you see phantoms?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, because that's when you first see the Covenant, isn't it?
Yeah, when the cruisers come in through the sky.
Oh, I mean, it's
such an amazing moment. You had a great reaction to that one, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so well done because, like, none of it feels cheap.
It never does.
It could have easily been cheap, and it just isn't.
Nothing. It's amazing. Like, it should. Like, you think acting would be off, special effects would be off, but they were just so smart about it, and everyone. They treat it like it wasn't a web series, from the actors to everyone making it.
And the budget is under $10 million.
Jesus, you couldn't tell by looking at it.
No, it looks like
easily at least a $25 million movie.
Yeah, I mean, and they got they were in conjunction with 343 Studios, which made Halo 4, and Microsoft Studios.
Yeah, 343 Microsoft essentially made this.
Yeah.
So this is in-house,
like,
just like the We Are ODST and stuff like that.
And it was just like a YouTube series.
Yeah, it was on Machinima. That was it.
And it's like you can buy the DVD for super cheap too, in stores.
It's nothing. It's
Blu-ray.
It's like the cheapest golden treasure you can find at Walmart.
Yeah, and it's just under. Is it like 90 minutes or something like that?
It's pretty short, yeah. I think it's about 90 minutes.
But it feels like a feature-length movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a straight-up awesome movie. Like, there's nothing else to really say about it. Even the score is amazing.
Like, at the end, towards the end, you hear the Halo score.
Yeah, when Master Chief blows up the Hunter, he rises up covered in the glowing Hunter blood, just like in the games. In the Halo, kind of kicks in for an awesome moment as he stands up in profile. But the score of the movie itself is just really good. Like, it has a main theme to it, and Stoddy Squad kind of has their main theme. Lasky kind of has a theme. There's just some really good, really cool moments in there.
And really what it boils down to is it's something that is not reliant on just, the franchise itself. Like, it's just, this could have been a well-told story without Halo. It just happens to be in the Halo universe.
Yeah,
That's what makes it all the more better.
Yeah, you could take off the bookends and just have it be an awesome sci-fi movie. You could change the name of Master Chief. By the way, it makes no sense his name is Master Chief. Because he's not that rank yet, technically. But, simplicity, it's simple.
Yeah. I mean, what else is he?
Yeah. You can call him John. Bullshit. Hearing last, he yelled Chief at one point is the greatest thing ever. Along with Chief fucking on the back of the Warthog. But, Chief
doing anything in this movie is the greatest thing ever.
I know. Fucking firing the pistol. But,
no. The best part is him on the Gatling gun.
Yeah, him on the back of the Warthogs. That's amazing. But, like you said, it doesn't have to be part of Halo. It's just a great, it's a great movie. Like, he doesn't have to be, and it could have been very easily just for something that was a promotional tool.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have to be anything.
They didn't have to put any effort into it.
It could have just been short. It still could have been cool, but, it didn't have to be anything else beyond that, but they went out of their way to make it something special.
Yeah. It's like, it could have been the last 15 minutes, but instead, they had all this extra stuff that turned out to actually be a quality story.
And make you just really care about those characters.
Yeah. Like, when one of them dies, when one of the main characters die, you feel it.
You're bummed the fuck out.
Yeah. And then Chief comes in and makes you feel better.
He does that. He's a caring soul.
He needs a weapon.
Anyway.
In short, Forward Unto Dawn is amazing.
Watch it if you haven't.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix streaming. You have no excuse. Sorry, we spoiled most of it for you.
Yeah.
But that's your fault for listening. Spoilers. At the end, Forward Unto Dawn dies.
What?
That's actually kind of true. In Halo 4, it does open with Forward Unto Dawn blowing up.
Yeah.
So.
Spoiler.
Wow, that joke actually fired back at me. Okay. So, anyway.
Stop making jokes.
Apologies. So that's been this mini bopper. Final thoughts, MB?
I need a weapon.
Totally. I've been Mike.
I've been MB.
Axios!
And like that, he's gone.